Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about the annexation of Hawaii and the three main causes I think that were responsible for it. I think that these causes are pretty influential in the whole process of the annexation and are really just the three main reasons when it comes down to it for the whole situation. Number one reason was the Civil War. Yes, the Civil War. What happened is the Union soldiers came down from the north and they trashed every single thing that slaves were working on down south. What's one thing that slaves were working on down south? Well, sugar plantations, and in specific, sugar beet plantations. Now, why was this so influential in the annexing of Hawaii? Well, Hawaii had an absolute shit ton of sugar when the US had no sugar. After the Civil War, all these fields were destroyed and sugar prices skyrocketed because there was no sugar left. And frankly, it was very bad because it was a major source of revenue for the US economy. The South was completely destroyed. And there needed to be more sugar. There needed to be more sugar at a cheaper price because everybody, they couldn't make cakes anymore, man. It was annoying. And so who comes along? Hawaii. Now, what does Hawaii have that's really important here? Hawaii has an absolute bucket load of sugar. And they didn't know what to do with it. They were selling it at extremely low prices because they were able to, and people were gobbling it up like hungry squirrels, you know? And it was going really well for Hawaii. They were really expanding their market. I mean, they'd never really been seen before, but they were starting to attract some attention, some global attention. Not always the best thing, honestly, when you're a small island country. But, you know, they were making it for themselves. They were getting richer, and it was good. So the Americans obviously decided if they see something that's growing that they need to be a part of it. So what the Americans did in 1875, which leads to my second reason, is they went over to Hawaii and decided to make the 1875 Act of Reciprocity. Now, this was so influential in the annexation of Hawaii because it led to something very important for Hawaii's economy. Now that was no tariffs on Hawaiian sugar. Everything that was imported into the United States from Hawaii regarding sugar had absolutely no tariff on it. Now, what does no tariff mean? It means it's less expensive to get it over to the Western markets. Now, it's very good that that happens because it makes things a lot more cheap, which is why nowadays China or whatever is trying to avoid tariffs because they can sell it for cheaper in the country that they're exporting to. And so that was what Hawaii was able to do, and they were able to make even more money. But the thing is there was a reciprocity, which means that this was not a one-way thing, okay? What the Americans were planning to do is to try and get in on some of this sugar, you know what I'm saying? So what they decided was their end of the deal was that they would have a hand in some of Hawaii's political and economic goings-ons. And so what happened is a bunch of plantation owners eventually moved over to Hawaii and started building their plantations all over again, using Hawaiians as cheap labor. And it was great because, you know, sugar was being sold all around and everybody was happy and making their cakes. And the plantation owners they're good at business, they know what they're doing, and they were growing, you know, they were becoming very big on the island, and up to the point where there was even an artificial republic of Hawaii that was made entirely by America. It wasn't even, it was like an artificial government. It was crazy. So Americans were just having a wild time on this island, and it was all great. The bad thing about being so heavily reliant on one commodity, however, is that you're very liable to a depression. And unfortunately, that's what happened in Hawaii's case. Because if that one commodity, if something happens to it, if you have a giant fire on your island and it's all wiped out, then your economy is wiped out. Now, Hawaii's other sources of revenue, such as whaling and vegetables, they were all dying out very, very slowly, just slow, sad death, because everybody was focusing on the sugar now. Nobody really needed to do any of that other stuff. There was no money in it. And so, they were very liable, but they were fine with it. And so now what happened, which is my third main reason, in 1890 was the McKinley Tariff. Now McKinley, what he wanted to do was he wanted to revitalize the American domestic whatever, the domestic sugar economy. And it would have brought more profits into America, and it would have, been good for America. And so what they did is they slapped a 50% tariff on all other sugar from every single other country that was considered foreign, which is every other country. That included Hawaii, because Hawaii was not a part of the United States. Now, why was this bad? This was really bad because nobody wanted to buy Hawaiian sugar anymore, because American sugar was on the up, and it was a lot cheaper than Hawaiian. That's because of the 50% tariff on Hawaiian sugar, and that just destroyed Hawaii. It went into this giant depression, and you know who it also destroyed? Apart from Hawaii, it destroyed the people who were doing business over in Hawaii. Yes, including the American sugar plantation owners. Or just sugar plantation owners. These guys keep getting screwed all the time. I mean, it really just is horrible. And so they were very, very upset about this. And they decided, we're not going to take any of this anymore. They decided that since Hawaii was a small little country that really couldn't defend itself too well, okay, well, if we just take over Hawaii and annex it as a part of the United States, then the tariff wouldn't be a problem, because it would be removed, because we're not foreign anymore. And so, that's what they decided to do. They pulled their strings over in America, and they convinced a group of Marines to come over and just seize the island. And that's what happened. And the American government just kind of went along with it. You know why? Because these guys over in the sugar plantations, they were making a lot of money for them as well, and so, why not, why not? Bring more revenue to the United States. It's an economic move there. And so that's really, and the whole annexation process, that none of the Hawaiian people wanted it, but it was done anyway, and that's what happened. That was pretty much all it was. There really was not anything else to it. It was just sugar plantation owners were having a horrible time over there, and they were just like, you know what, fuck it. We're just gonna do it. So, if anything, that's pretty much it. So there's no really any ulterior motive besides that, in my opinion. So thank you for watching. Hopefully you got something from this video. See you in the next one.